I'll just share.
Dr. Sandra is another torchbearer in pediatric ophthalmology with very special interest in the management of complex strabismus and cortical visual impairment. She is a consultant in pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus of Arvind Eye Hospital, Coimbatore, with a huge surgical experience in all components of her specialty, and also great experience in teaching the PGs and the fellows, and has also got many publications to her credit. She is going to be talking on diagnosis and management of amblyopia, pedic studies, and beyond. And look forward to your talk. And we have to be very conscious of our time too, Dr. Sandra, because we're very interested in discussions also.
Sorry to interrupt. Just before Dr. Sandra starts, I'd like to welcome Dr. Surendran sir and Dr. Pradeep Sharma sir who have joined us.
Oh, very much.
Sorry, late because of the SPOCI meeting.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Pradeep. Nice to see you, and Dr. Surendran too. I hope you'll stay right till the end of the meeting.
Sure.
Yes. Look forward to your inputs and questions all through. Thank you. On to you, Sandra.
Thank you, madam. Am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Yes, sorry, please go.
Yeah. So thank you very much for the invitation, Chitra ma'am, and the organizing committee. So I'll be talking about the diagnosis and management of amblyopia today with reference to the pedic studies and beyond. So amblyopia has been defined long back by the Greeks, and it's not a new concept. So it is a decrease of visual acuity for which no physical cause can be found by the examiner, and it is caused either by abnormal visual stimuli like loss of vision or abnormal binocular interaction between the two eyes. So in addition to the defect in the recognition visual acuity, we also have defects in the decreased vernier acuity, contrast sensitivity, decreased binocularity, and stereopsis. So all the higher order functions are impaired in amblyopia. So why do we need to treat amblyopia? It is the treatment of amblyopia is definitely psychologically distressing both to the parents and the child because of the number of years involved with patching therapy. But we need to remember that being amblyopic actually doubles the risk of being visually impaired if they lose vision in the better eye. And also the treatment of amblyopia improves the quality of life and opportunities. According to the Quality of Life Index, the treatment of amblyopia is a very low cost therapy. The how to measure the visual acuity has already been mentioned in the first talk by Dr. Vaishnavi. But the only thing that we need to remember is that we need to use cards which also incorporate the crowding concept for amblyopia, because otherwise if we use single picture cards like Kay or Allen, then it tends to overestimate the treatment of overestimate vision in amblyopic children. And with regard to fixation behavior, the only thing that we need to remember is please do not discontinue the patching therapy based upon an equalization of the fixation measure, because it may underestimate the visual acuity. So you need to follow up the therapy until you can get a measurable visual acuity, and always have a baseline patching like at least an hour per day till they reach the age of 8 or so. So coming to the pedic investigator group, so the traditional amblyopia treatment strategies have documented a lot of therapy, and the pedic group has given us a lot of insight into this, and till date there has been around 18 amblyopia treatment studies, and that have given us a lot of conclusions on the basis of which we approach the therapy. So the traditional amblyopia treatment strategies have documented improvement with spectacle correction alone, or with or without occlusion or penalization, and later on followed by drug therapy. But in spite of good compliance to occlusion or drugs, there are a subset of patients where we don't find much of improvement. And so there are newer therapies, including computer-based therapies, which I will be talking about in due course. So coming to the age-old occlusion therapy, which is still forms the cornerstone of amblyopia management. So what types of amblyopia has been investigated so far? So we have investigated strabismic or anisometropic or a combination of both, but stimulus deprivation has not yet been investigated. So with regard to unilateral amblyopia, like children 3 to 7 years, there has been 2-line improvement with just glass prescription alone, and 3-line improvement in around 80% of children, and some of them have actually resolved. So start treatment with refractive correction alone, wait for 6 to 8 weeks. If they need additional treatment, then you can prescribe occlusion. Similar effects have been found in bilateral amblyopia also, where they have been found good improvement with just a glass alone. So visual lesser therapy may be in fact more advantageous. And coming to the dosage, moderate amblyopia, 3 to 7 year olds, you can give 2 hours of patching, which is as good as 6 hours. In severe amblyopia, 6 hours of daily patching is as good as full time. Hence, we can lessen the duration of patching. And coming to the treatment of older children, in 7 to 12 year olds and even in 13 to 17 year olds, we have found a good amount of improvement with patching therapies. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's audible.
Can you see my slides?
Yes, very much.
Okay. One second, because my... So with regard to the treatment of older children, can you just tell me which slide? There is my laptop.
Yeah, the treatment of older children. Treatment of older children.
Yeah, so...
Doctor, please carry on.
You can just click play there, Dr. Sandra.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can please go ahead.
Yeah, with regard to the treatment of older children, so in 7 to 12 year old and in 13 to 17 year old, we have documented good benefits with the amblyopia therapies. Am I on the next slide?
Yes. No, not it.
There is some problem with my...
Just click. No, doctor. Just click on the next slide. Don't click back. Don't just click on the next slide, doctor.
Yeah.
The forward button. Yes.
Can I just log off and connect again? Can I just log off and connect again?
No, don't log off. Just stop share and reshare.
Yeah, okay.
Or you can just talk, Dr. Sandra. It's okay. Slides are okay. You can just talk.
Okay, let me just...
I've stopped share. Can you just reshare again?
Yeah, I'll reshare.
Can you just share screen again?
Yeah, once again, I'll connect from a different computer. Just give me 1 minute.
Sure.
So in the meanwhile, we can take some questions if there are any.
Yes, Dr.
Arun. Dr. Rohit Saxena.
Yeah.
Are you there? Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question for you. When do you stop occlusion therapy? Till what age you continue occlusion therapy, and when you plan to stop or wean off?
So first, when do you start or when would you consider? So we generally feel that occlusion therapy should be given an opportunity to all, and an attempt should be made for all. And we would start when we stop, either the vision is equal and in strabismus you are seeing an alternate fixation, or for 3 consecutive follow-ups, monthly or 1.5 monthly follow-ups, you do not see any significant improvement in vision, despite being sure that there is good compliance. So that would be our endpoint of discussing with the parents that we consider stopping occlusion. Because once you stop occlusion or stop any form of treatment, unless you're thinking of alternate treatment like penalization or something, stopping occlusion would mean really stopping any form of amblyopia therapy. So it would be better delayed as much as possible if parents are willing.
Sure. Yeah, Dr. Sandra, it's visible. You can go ahead with the talk.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for the
Yes,
interruption.
yes.
Yeah, coming to the atropine penalization. So the ATS studies, one have studied the effect of daily administration of 1% atropine, and ATS 4 studies have studied the weekend application of atropine. And the ATS 8 studies have added a plano lens to the sound eye. So all these studies have proved that atropine is well tolerated, the systemic side effects are quite rare, and reverse amblyopia is also rare. So in summary, the effect of atropine is similar to that of 2 to 6 hours of patching, and it's appropriate for both the first line treatment and also in patching failures. Daily atropine is not necessary, even twice-week schedule will suffice. It's never too late to treat amblyopia, as I said before. And coming to the drug therapy, the levodopa and cetirizine have been studied till now. the levels of retinal dopamine are decreased in amblyopia, and dopamine is one of the immediate precursors of levodopa is a immediate precursor of dopamine. So there has been PREDICT studies on residual amblyopia in 7 to 12-year age group who have been treated with levodopa and citicoline, but they did not find a significant effect of treatment with the drugs. But there has been another study in the age group of 5 to 20 where the combination therapy has proved useful, but they studied with a much higher dose. And citicoline also, initially it was used for the treatment of amblyopia, and it gives good recovery in traumatic, ischemic and regenerative insults. But there has been no proven long-term benefit with citicoline. Larger studies are needed. Coming to the newer concepts, amblyopia as a binocular therapy is the hypothesis, and they say that if we activate the persistent, the binocular neural circuits can be exploited to awaken an amblyopic eye. And the binocular therapies are designed to improve the amblyopia through binocular stimulation, are largely broken down into perceptual learning and dichoptic therapy. So coming to what is perceptual learning, there is a repetitive stimulus which is given, and after practice there is an improvement, and you give certain visual tasks, and the neural basis is it is results from a reduction of lateral inhibition within the brain. So various tasks are given, and the Gabor patch is which is used because it kind of approximates the stimulus in the visual cortex. And other approach is the dichoptic based
60
therapy,
seconds left.
where unlike perceptual learning, where a single visual percept is administered to both the eyes independently, in dichoptic therapy we give independent stimuli to each eye and introduces a task that requires integration of both the stimuli under binocular viewing conditions, and sequentially the contrast is reduced. And there has been an ATS study with the binocular games and therapies also, but they did not find any improvement or any marked improvement with these therapies, because it was very difficult for a child to maintain attention with the Tetris-based games which came out initially. And hence, the newer games like Digrush have been advocated now for the treatment of amblyopia, and we have newer therapies like the passive viewing of dichoptic movies, head-mounted virtual reality displays, and integrated interactive binocular games. So all these try to give more interest in performing these binocular therapies. And lately we have an artificial intelligence-based startup company called CureSight, which has designed a new tablet called NovaSight. And yeah, just give me a minute. And based on this tracking software with a special pair of glasses, they can watch any content, and that can improve the binocular acuity. And coming to the studies that are ongoing, we have ATS 22, 19 and 18. And 19 is exploring the benefits of excimer laser therapy for an amblyopia, and 18 is studying on the accommodation defects in children with amblyopia. So that is the newer therapies that we can think about and look forward to in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. There were some interruptions, unfortunately, but you did get across to us very well. I'm sure Dr. Arun would have some questions to ask, but more out of curiosity, what is the place of this perceptual learning and dichoptic stimulation against the regular occlusion patching and all that?
Yeah.
You heard me?
Yeah, I have some experience with this, not a vast experience, but the perceptual learning therapies, I personally have tried in few older patients who have failed amblyopia therapy before. And one of them was a person who was working in Germany, and he's his passion is fast racing cars, and he's an engineer. And he recognized amblyopia at that point of time. So with 40 sessions what they give, I did find that he had improved vision by 2 lines, and functionally he was much better than before. But the cost of the therapy is quite prohibitive for most of the people. So compared to that, the dichoptic therapy, what they give is a little cost effective, but I don't know, like just started doing it, so I don't know how beneficial it could be. So probably it can be a good option in persons who have failed amblyopia therapy. Conventional treatment like occlusion and glasses still hold good, but once they are past, and all these can be done only in moderate amblyopia, not in severe amblyopia. On in vision less than 6/36 or so, we can, better than that, we can try these binocular therapies.
Great.
Dr. Surendran, Dr. Pradeep Sharma, you have something to tell us?
I had one question to Dr. Pradeep sir and all the panelists. Sir, in this pandemic era, what about this visual stimulation activities for amblyopia? Like many people use the tablets, they say use computer, video games and all those things. We just wanted to know more about that.
That is another side of the technology that you're talking about. Right now, we are talking about technology being used to promote vision in the amblyopes. And there we are talking of its positive nature. And I think basically, even since ages, we have known that active vision stimulation helps amblyopia therapy. By occlusion, we are doing a passive job. You're just ensuring that the amblyopic eye starts seeing. But if you make him do active vision exercises, it improves. That has been the time-honored technique that when the children were taught to join dots or draw or paint or whatever, so that will help. Now with the technology, we are doing that in a much more advanced manner by giving them video games to play. That is monocular visual perception learning, or maybe binocular visual games in which we are giving them binocular vision stimulation with the dioptics. So it is these, in concept, we are going towards binocular vision stimulation. When we were using occlusion, we were ensuring that the good eye is not being used and only the amblyopic eye is being used. But the paradigm shift is now that we are making both the eyes to function simultaneously. And we have seen in studies done at RP Center that in the binocular video games, it works as good as occlusion in anisometropic amblyopes. Not only that, the stereopsis is better in the binocular vision group compared to the occlusion group. So that is a positive thing that we'll have.
Thank you.
And which type of studies?
Question was, I mean, sorry to miss it out. What he was asking was the negative effects of technology that people are doing a lot of using the tablets and television, and it is causing some visual problems. That is true. Cases of overuse of technology in the form of screen time has resulted even in esotropia, even in eye strain, dry eyes, and all these problems, which we'll have to also attend to. Like simple thing like 20-20-20 rule should be remembered, that not more than 20 minutes should be continuously seen, 20 seconds break, and look at 20 feet distance every 20 minutes.
So normally, which type of amblyopia responds best to the treatment, sir?
Which set anisometropic amblyopes are usually giving a better response for simple reason. One, that they are later to develop. Strabismic amblyopia or stimulus deprivation amblyopia is early to start. It's much more deeper amblyopia. Anisometropic amblyopes are milder to moderate amblyopes, so they are better to have that. Because in amblyopia therapy, the basic thing is what is the presenting vision and how much can he use the amblyoptic eye. If the vision is very poor, he won't be able to use the amblyoptic eye. So we can't even subject him to occlusion.
And I think deprivation amblyopia fares the worst.
The worst.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So